So I'm gonna try to catch you up early. If you don't know, Al Haymon has separated himself from Golden Boy Promotions. Now, if you haven't noticed, over the last several months, you've been seeing a lot of Golden Boy fighters, or what you thought were Golden Boy fighters, fighting on cards that weren't promoted by Golden Boy Promotions. Right now, Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions only has about, I would say maybe literally a handful of named boxers that can carry their own event. So right now we got Saul Canelo Alvarez for sure, and he's no way in any shape or form attached to Al Haymon. You got Amir Khan, who was attached to Showtime. I'm not sure if I believe his last fight was the Alexander fight with Showtime, but he is a Golden Boy fighter and still an Haymon advised fighter. Then you got Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz is completely, Leo Santa Cruz is somewhat irrelevant because Leo Santa Cruz got his own beef going on. And then you have, who else? There was another name that I'm missing. Lucas Martin Matisse. So many questions still remain on the situation of, well, will those Haymon fighters now be fighting on HBO? Doesn't Golden Boy and Showtime Steven Espinoza have a little bit of beef going on? How does Mayweather versus Pacquiao play into all this? Will Golden Boy continue to work with Showtime after whatever their current obligations with them are have expired, which I believe they have, after this Deontay Wilder versus Bermane Stiverne? Will Haymon fighters that are on NBC work with HBO, or will Top Rank fighters fight on NBC to fight Haymon fight? It's you see how it's such a ugly situation. And looking at how I could just go on all day about all the different subplots of everything that's going on, I'll be up here confusing myself and therefore not putting out a completely productive video-wise, because it'll seem like I'm rambling, but realistically, I'm just trying to catch you up on all the different shit that's going on. So let's just focus on the fact that HBO has somewhere between, let's say ballpark figure, 27 to 30 million subscribers, right? We're not going to go into direct numbers because you don't know. And we're not going to get, so let's say ballpark figure 27 to 30 million subscribers. Showtime, somewhere between 20 to 23 million, maybe 24. So when it comes to boxing, HBO has been providing us with the best fights that they can provide us. As far as when you look at the fights, that can happen on HBO or can happen, there's not too much politics involved with the networks and the promotional companies. On HBO, you can pretty much boil it down to the fighter not wanting to fight the fighter. To whereas when it comes to Showtime, you'll say, well, this fighter's not fighting this fighter because, for one, he can't fight it because he's not on that network, and then he moving up in weight, and then the promoters don't want them to fight right now, and then there's a bigger fight later on because he just lost the fight. You see how like you can simplify it over on HBO, but then when it comes to Showtime, with everything that's been going on, it's hard to support. It's hard as a boxing fan because, see, me, I have to, no matter what. I can tell you, Showtime is not going to be of use to you sometime in 2015, late in 2015. To whereas if you're just getting Showtime for boxing, then you already know that, well, those fighters that you were watching are not there anymore. So I'm always going to have to pay for Showtime. Even if I might say sometimes that, I'm going to get rid of Showtime, what are they going to have for me? Like when you got even just a few names like Amir Khan, Lucas Matisse, and Leo Santa Cruz, and that's just the names that are being thrown out there. I'm hearing Keith Thurman, but from my understanding, Keith Thurman did an interview sometime in 2014, the late summer of 2014, saying that he was no longer a Golden Boy fighter, or he had no contract with Golden Boy Promotions. So as it stands, the fighters that were on Golden Boy Showtime cards are now going to be on Al Haymon's cards. NBC, whatever it's going to be. It's supposed to be NBC. So therefore, if you look at Showtime boxing right now, which basically we've been seeing nothing but showbox caliber fights. You ask, if you're a boxing fan, you're paying all this money for what? To watch these prospect fights, to watch these B-level, mid-level fights. And then if you do get a good fighter, to be something like, once again, Adonis Stevenson, Dmitry Sahatsky. You see? So what reason can I tell fans, well, yeah, you should keep your subscription, especially if you know that you can say 80, maybe 90% of the boxers that you were watching on there before are now gone. So, which brings me to the second part of the video is, how does Mayweather versus Pacquiao play into this? Now, you can say, well, Haymon probably said, or some deal was negotiated with, well, listen, we'll still let you keep Mayweather Showtime, and, you know, he'll still bring people in, and his name will have people watching all these underbelly fights. You know, so if you got Mayweather versus Pacquiao going on in May, you got all that marketing, even though Haymon's quietly taking all his, not quietly, but he's basically taking all his fighters off of the network. Us fans, we're still going to say, well, Mayweather's still there. But if you really look at what's happening, Mayweather only has about 2 fights left. And do you think that if he has another contract that Haymon's going to negotiate it with him to be just strictly on Showtime? Just strictly on Showtime. So I guess what I'm saying is this. Showtime is in a tough situation because now we know, and I'm telling you that they don't have Canelo anymore. With this Mayweather versus Pacquiao thing, that if this did not happen, then fans would have every reason just to drop their Showtime subscription. Because if they can't bring us Mayweather versus Pacquiao, but then you lose all these fighters, starting with Canelo, and then you got the promoter of these fighters, or who was the promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, going at your vice president, and then you got another promoter from another network going to your president, way up at the top of CBS, the actual parent company. It makes me think to myself, well, wait a minute. Some shit's about to go down. Somebody's going to lose their job. And I'm thinking, well, looking at the fights that we've got in 2014, looking at the fights we've got in 2014, when you get Lucas Matisse versus John Molina, don't get me wrong, good fight, but what happened to Danny Garcia? Adrian Broner at that time. No disrespect to John Molina. When you get Edgar Santana versus Lamont Peterson, and this is the best example I can give, and then you got him on, you got Danny Garcia on the same card fighting Rod Salka, and Rod Salka is like some cold underground legend right now. Real rap. When people see that Rod Salka fighting, people watch Rod Salka fights, and I'm not even joking. But when you look at the fights that have been provided to us, and you ask yourself, well, we are paying for it, we're condoning it, and then we're not saying nothing about it, and then we're sitting here trying to figure out what this mystery ghost, Mr. Claw man up there doing, you know, like, well, what's his plan? Well, he's taking care of the fighters, though, that's all we should care about. And it's like, well, wait a minute. It's just all like brainwashing, you know, you're being brainwashed, you're being conditioned to accept certain shit. You know, it's like, why do you keep putting up with it? Now, what's going to happen on NBC? People are saying we're going to get bullshit fights. I can understand all that because you can only go by the track record and what's been presented to you. And then you have to think, well, what's the budget going to be for these fights? And these fighters got to get paid. You know, there's so many things. You got Adrian Broner saying he's going to fight 4 times this year, and he's walking around at like 190 pounds, turning around $40 million. You got so many questions. And once again, this is all about really just break down Showtime with just Mayweather at. Break down Showtime with just Mayweather and Amir Khan, Leo Santa Cruz. I don't even know who else to name. Mauricio Herrera, maybe, you know. And you think to yourself, well, they have nothing. And then if you got an Al Haymon fighter, right? And Lucas Matisse and Amir Khan and Lucas Matisse wanting to get a WBO title shot since Danny Garcia won't fight him again, or Haymon can't make Danny Garcia and Lucas Matisse again. He's supposed to be fighting, well, he should be fighting Chris Algieri for the #1 contender for the WBO that Chris Algieri had to drop to take the Pacquiao fight. But yet, we don't know how this affects Matisse, and you think, well, damn, Haymon should have just took him too, because you're going to just make him just stay on Showtime and not fight HBO fighters. It's an ugly, ugly situation. And that's why I've been learning, like, if I'm going to be a promoter, you got to be cold-hearted. These dudes is cutthroat. And you got a hawk. It's very early. I don't know what that was. But when you look at the landscape and you have a job like I have to follow all this information and talk to all these different people and to determine well, not to determine, but to just to read the body language of people when they talk about it, and when you even listen to the fighters, sometimes you can hear the frustration in the fighters because you got to be tough mentally to be able to take these hits you're taking in like the media of people just clowning you because like, damn, you turning all this money. And then look, like once again, what if Deontay Wilder loses, you know? What if Adrian Broner loses again? What if Danny Garcia loses? What if Peter Quillen loses? What if Keith Thurman loses? That's 5 names that turned down money, major money. One of them dropped the belt. One of them almost lost the belt. Meaning Danny Garcia. So, you know, it's tough. It's tough because, see, when you got a job, boy, shit's getting ugly. So I guess this is the time where we're going to find out what Haymon's power really is. You know, when it comes to this NBC Sports deal, he must have some super mega plan coming up because I'm asking myself, well, wait a minute. Okay, Showtime has advanced a lot over the years, and I've grown up in my family. We always had cable. I grew up with my grandparents. They've always had cable, and I've seen the growth of these networks to where there was only one HBO. You know, then they'd be like, oh shit, there's an HBO 2? You know, and then you get like this whole, you know, like digital box. I went through all of that. And when you look at that Showtime, you can watch Showtime on your phone. You know what that does for me? When I'm in like the fresh grocer and I'm watching a Showtime Showbox card on my phone. So when I think that, well, they got that to compliment their subscribers, but when you look at Al Haymon trying to put his fighters, I guess, to supplement pay-per-view, he's going to have fighters fighting on the online network. And I think to myself, wait a minute, do he know that people streaming out here? Do you know that, does he know that streaming is going completely mad? Streaming is going crazy out here. So I'm thinking, what in his right mind in this technological era makes him think that putting fights online to stream, if that's his plan, of course, is going to work? And I'm not Al Haymon. I'm thinking like, okay, so is he going to launch this anti-piracy campaign? Is he going to shut down all the streamers in the galaxy? You know what that does? Like, look at torrent websites. You got to really know about the internet and stuff to know what I'm talking about. Look at like people like the Pirate Bay. You know what they do? You go shut them down, they get pissed off. And then they go build more servers in a cyber bunker and they just, you know, restart up and get more powerful than ever and then arm themselves with a bunch of attorneys and shit. So I'm thinking like, streaming, really? You can't. Pay-per-view is supposed to be an event. Pay-per-view is supposed to be something that you buy. You invite your friends over, you invite your family, everybody's getting drunk, you're eating, you know, you eat some crawfish or some shrimps. But live streaming? Now I understand you can reach many people, all right? I can understand that. You can reach many. National television is no joke. Now, depending on how you market it, as far as I haven't been able to come up with a scenario that I see fit yet. As far as, imagine if they have boxing on at night on Christmas when they know everybody's home, they're washing the dishes. Some people, you know, usually people don't leave right on Christmas, you know. So imagine if, you know, like it's Christmas Day, all the family's around and some boxing is on. You know, you get a super fight or something like that. Or imagine a Thanksgiving, or imagine, you know, like maybe, you know, after you know, Super Bowl or something, or the day before the Super Bowl. You know, not this year, but I'm saying there's ways you can market it where you can get all that traffic to watch. But then I asked myself, well, the money, you're going to need a lot of sponsors, you know, you're going to need a lot of endorsements, you're going to need a lot of expensive ass commercials. And also you're going to need these fighters to be active. Like if Adrian Broner said he fighting 4 times a year, yes. If you're trying to get NBC popping with boxing, yes, you need to be fighting 4 times a year. So, you know, I just don't know. And then once again, that makes me think that's the reason why they've had these, you know, somewhat simple, easy fights. When you get Adrian Broner versus a Carlos Molina, and then you get Adrian Broner versus an Emmanuel Taylor. Not easy fight with man, but a fight he's supposed to win. Chris Algieri beat him for crying out loud. But, and there's no disrespect to him, but what I'm saying is that maybe that's been Haymon's plan, and I've been saying this for months. Like, you know, he's got to have some major plan for these fighters if he's giving them these bullshit fights, and they're just sitting there taking it, like, you know, and then taking this hit. No, you know, maybe they knew, like, shit, well, in 2015, I'm going to be having to fight 4 or 5 times. You know, we're going to get that shit popping. You know, that's just my logic. I'm T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight, live boxing news, rumors, whatever you want to call it, weigh-ins, you know. I guess I can say this, put it this way. I know I owe you a lot of interviews. It's not that I can't get them. I said this before. We're just going to leave it at that. So right now, I'm your most credible. Well, okay. Mayweather versus Pacquiao is happening. I don't see any reason to do any more videos on it until it does happen. But like I was saying earlier in the video, I feel, meaning until they officially announce it. I already said so many videos, contract signing coming soon. You know, they're going to be meeting soon, you know, all those videos. But now I'm thinking to myself, well, everything's coming into place. Everything's coming into place. Everything's coming into place. I know I'm speaking a little cryptic at the end of the video. This is T-Street Controversy. There's not enough sugar in my tea. Pause. T-Street Controversy Live.